right, so let's get right into this here. We are back on Unexpected Wrestling. I'm Minty. That is Mr. Chunk. Mr. Chunk is a little too excited here. He was playing the Joe Hendry song during the intro there. And he's getting very, very excited here. We are back after what seems like a 3-week break. I think it was about 3 weeks. Last time you guys saw me, I had the hot pepper challenge going on, and yeah, let's just say I haven't felt the same ever since. That shit did not wear off until like 4 hours later, believe it or not. But I survived. It was a little stressful at the time. I still have one of those McDonald's chocolate milks in my fridge. My toilet was fine, actually, to be honest with you. I did not have the Ring of Fire. Yeah, it hurt for a while though. Like, it's crazy. Jason Stark says, welcome back over on YouTube. Listen, guys, TikTok, I'm not sure why it's not working. It was making me put in some sort of stream key or whatever, and then it said I had to apply for YouTube again. So I'm not able to get it going today, but I promise we will be on TikTok very soon. I got to kind of figure that stuff out. Lots been going on in our personal lives lately. That's why we had to take a little bit of a break, but we are back. We are here to talk about Backlash in the world of pro wrestling, and we're going to get right into it here with a little bit of wrestling news. And a lot of stupid stuff has been going on lately. Not just in regards to television programming, but there's a lot of stupid characters in the world of wrestling that we need to address here. Let me open up some files. Yeah, speaking of Joe, no, Joe Hendry is somebody that hasn't done anything stupid lately, as far as I know, anyway. That's good. Good for him. Good for him. Trick Williams. Okay, let me screen share something real quick. And let's just get right into the drama that's been going on in the wrestling world. Okay, let me open up this screen. So, our good friend Ricochet lately has been causing a muck in the world of the social media. And he had himself a little Twitter bout with Javon Evans from NXT. And we're going to take a look here at everything that was going on with Javon Evans. So, apparently, Mr. Ricochet here, rest in peace, Sabu. Yes, Sabu did pass away today. I was kind of surprised to see that. Tried to wait to actually get some real confirmation, but it looks like all the official sites are posting about Sabu passing away. I just recently watched one of his last matches against Joey Janela WrestleMania weekend. It's very, very sad. Very sad. The guy lived a life. I'll say that. That dude was still wrestling hardcore style at his age. How old was he? He must have been in his 60s. Yeah, he was. And this dude was still jumping in the barbed wire, doing all this stunts. Crazy. Crazy. Absolutely crazy. The guy literally lived a life as a wrestler. And, yeah. But let's get back into this. Javon Evans and Ricochet. So, Ricochet lately, ever since he's left the WWE, he's become like an internet troll. I think the guy is just having, I can't hear the other guy. Am I the only one? Mr. Chunk. Let me see here. If I need to, I have his volume all the way. I know it was kind of low earlier when we started. And let me see if there's something. Can somebody else verify if we can hear Mr. Chunk or not? Let me see if there's something I need to do. The worst thing to happen is you guys tell me that there's audio issues, because now I'm going to obsess over it. Thank you for that. Shit. They're right. I don't think that we're hearing you. Oh, this is what happens when, like, we're not streaming for a while. Like, we have issues like this. Let me see what I have to do here. All right, Mr. Chunk, start talking again.
I am here.
Talk again.
Hello?
You guys hear him now. You should be hearing him now.
Can you hear me now?
This is
Is this a Verizon commercial?
You guys should be hearing him now. Please say in chat if you can or not. We're doing some live IT work as we're going. I believe in Joe Hendry. I see the green bars moving, so I hope you guys can hear him. This is Brooke. Someone says, hi, Brooke. Thanks for coming in. You can hear him now. Thank you so much, Brooke, for letting us know. There we go. Jackie, thank you so much. Thank you so much. Okay. Mr. Chonk, we can all hear you, so please hold in your gas. Thank you.
I mean,
all right.
You know what? Jacob Fatu and I have something in common. All gas. Well, he has no brakes.
Oh, God,
I don't fulfill that last part.
All right, dude. All right, let me make sure. It still sounds a little bit low. His voice wants to know if you can mute him in real life. Whoa.
Oh, Jesus. You know what? I believe in Joe
Hendry. The sound is a little low in my ears, but we got to stop with the IT work. We got to get into this. Okay, Javon Evans and Ricochet. Ricochet's been a troll lately on the internet because the guy has nothing else better to do. He sucks at wrestling. He sucks in AEW, so he has to go on the internet and try to get popular. He made a comment on Twitter and said I'd squash him, referring to Javon Evans, and Javon Evans decided to reply. If you guys aren't familiar with who Javon Evans is he is a NXT wrestler, one of the premier NXT wrestlers. So it's very rare that you would have a WWE guy responding to one of these AEW little leprechauns. But here we are. So Javon Evans responds to Ricochet in his when he posted I'd squash him. If anybody doesn't know, squashing means that he would beat him in a match decisively, as in like just beat him miserably. Anyways,
not if Rikishi sat down on him and
yes, that's a different version of squash, and he'd also get a stink face in that regard.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So Javon Evans says, my bad, I just got done training at the Performance Center under Shawn Michaels, something that you don't have or do, but I bet your brown egg head ass would squash me if Tony told you to. Much love, OG. Sorry, I'm having trouble reading that because he like capitalized every letter, like he wrote it like Ric Flair style. It's fucking weird. So that was his response to Ricochet, and Ricochet got in his feelers and had to respond back. I feel like I'm like reading the drama dirt sheets here. So Ricochet says, brother, and not Hulk Hogan, brother. He said, brother, I was learning from Shawn Michaels when you were like 12, then went on to become a multiple-time champion. Let me know when you win one, little boy. And yeah, Tony, if Tony asked me, I'd definitely beat your ass, cuz. Yeah, I'd definitely beat your ass, cuz. I guess that's what he was trying to say. And then he replied to himself because he was that triggered. He said, also, just by simply mentioning my name, this is your most engaged post. You're welcome for the exposure, kid, with a queen's crown. I wonder why he had a queen's crown and not a king's crown. Mr. Chonk, what do you think? What do you think about this so far here before we get into the second half of this?
Ricochet, we're just gonna call him Dickochet.
Dickochet, yeah.
Yeah. That's about all he's good for, being a dick.
Yeah. Did you ever see his porn video, by the way? Just asking. I've never seen it. I've heard about it, though. I'm not joking. He apparently really does have, yeah. Let's not get into that.
I can't say that I've seen that firsthand.
Let's not get into that. It's been rumors on the internet.
Maybe secondhand and third hand.
Oh, God. What the hell were you doing with your hands while you were watching it, dude? All right, Javon Evans then responds with, you learned from HBK when I was 12 and became a multi-time champion. Now you're wrestling in front of 2,000 people every week for a crackhead. Talk about an upgrade, am I right? Wow! He just called the owner of AEW a crackhead. We are getting really, really into the drama here. We are getting in deep. And then Javon Evans decided to respond to himself with, sounds like Mr. Khan isn't giving you enough attention, so you had to come for a successful-ass youngin'. You're giving me the most views on my posts, and I'm finally helping you get the most attention you've ever had in your career. All love. So here's the thing: we don't really see these NXT guys, WWE guys, kind of communicating with AEW people much because AEW they have it's like the Wild West. They have like no restraint. They have nobody telling them how to act on social media. They just kind of do what they want. WWE they kind of have a leash on their talent. And they don't really let them respond like this. And he did delete those tweets, so I'm sure somebody in WWE was like, no, 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 don't engage with the animals and whatever."
Maybe you should have gotten in on the fun, and you could have been a troll yourself.
Oh God, we've seen what happens with that. When I got into a troll battle with Baron Corbin, and I've gotten myself into trouble online a few times. But yeah. So my whole thoughts on this, like these guys. So we have two different fan bases here. We have the WWE fan base. You have the AEW fan base. The AEW fan base, they never seem to have a problem when somebody like Ricochet or Will Ocean Spray talk about the WWE. They're always mentioning WWE. Every interview they do, they got to say something about the WWE. But the second a WWE guy responds to an AEW guy, all these fans on the internet are raising their hands up saying that WWE needs media training and that it's horrible. WWE guys shouldn't be talking about AEW guys. It's a very, very, very big double standard. I think Javon Evans, maybe his etiquette was a little off. Like, he shouldn't be calling people crackheads on the internet, especially when you're working for, like, a multi-billion-dollar company. You don't want to get, like, lawsuits and stuff like that. But I don't necessarily think it's wrong for him to respond to somebody that's, like, just being a pest. You know what I mean? What do you think about that, Mr. Chunk?
Yeah, a little Ricochet got his balls hurt.
Yeah, he got his balls tapped a little bit.
Yeah, and you know, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen. And
yeah, and I don't think he can see over the kitchen counter because he's so short. No, so
probably not.
Yeah, so Ricochet, he's always starting trouble. I'm not sure what his whole deal is. I think he's bored in AEW. He's not the superstar that he thought he would be. He thought he was going to go there and that people were going to just be obsessed with him and think that he was finally off his restraints in WWE. And it didn't quite go that way. He had to turn himself heel. He tried to come in as a superhero. Nobody bought it. Turned himself heel. Noticed that the fans weren't buying into him. So now he's on the internet trying to be a troll. And I don't know how much a troll makes money on the internet. I don't know how much that's affecting his paycheck.
Who knows?
Obviously,
I feel like in the end,
mm-hmm.
he thought he got a full-size Snickers bar, but he really just got fun-sized. That's who Ricochet
All right,
is.
so moving on from that, let's what else do we have on the agenda here? So one thing we have to talk about is the recent WWE releases. We did not get to speak about that yet because we haven't been live, but WWE pretty much almost immediately after WrestleMania did a full like suit of releases. We usually expect these in the springtime, but
post WrestleMania, yep.
Yeah, this was
right around.
This was probably the quickest turnaround I've seen. Usually they
it might
wait
have been
like
quick
a
because
month or
WrestleMania
so.
was later in the year.
You're right.
It was 2 weeks later than it usually is.
So I think this is more correlated with whenever they do their annual report, their money report or whatever. They try to cut out some slack so that they could kind of do a better presentation. There are some names that surprised me on here. So let's read off the names here. Some of these guys are from NXT I'm not too familiar with, but there are a lot of names that I am familiar with. So let's start off. We got Braun Strowman, Cora Jade, Dakota Kai, Danny Palmer, Eddie Thorpe, Gigi Dolan, Jakara Jackson, Xavier Barnell, not familiar with who that is, Joe Coffey, Katana Chance, Caden Carter, Keanu Carver, Mark Coffey, Oro Mensah, Riley Osborne, Shayna Baszler, Shotzi, Blackheart, and Wolfgang. I don't know who the fuck Wolfgang is. Hopefully not Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart.
Okay. I think he's been dead for a while.
Braun Strowman, surprising. He just was recently brought back.
So it was surprising, but if you read into it a little bit,
Mhm.
apparently he has some leg issue in which he's lost a percentage of feeling in his leg.
Oh man, I
So
didn't
he's
know
never
that.
going to be 100%. It was like he's like 20% loss of feeling or sensation in his leg.
That's crazy.
So it's
Okay.
just one of those things where I don't think it's like, oh, an injury and it takes a month to heal. I think that,
Mhm.
age and prior injuries are catching up with him.
Yeah.
And it's limiting his mobility. And no offense to Braun Strowman, somebody of that size isn't agile to begin with. I mean, he
Yeah.
was able to move around better than Great Khali, right?
Yeah.
But he was not moving around in the ring like Seth Rollins, right? That's not
Yeah.
his
I think
style.
to be honest,
It's not his
quite
body type.
completely honest with you, I think he reached his peak. I mean,
Yes,
he
and the
was
amount of money
WWE
they were paying
champion.
him,
Yeah. Like I don't
and
think
he
he could.
couldn't wrestle every week given his injury status.
Yeah. Like I don't know how much further he could have. When he was WWE champion already, they tried that. He's had matches with Lesnar. He's had matches against the top talent. The way that they were
Because he can't
showcasing
really.
him was great. I thought the Jacob Fatu,
Yeah.
Bronson Reed, like those
But
were.
that's what's limited. So the thing
Yeah.
with Braun Strowman is that he can only have a good match with so many people. Like I
Mhm.
don't think him and Rey Mysterio can have a classic 30-minute match.
No.
Their styles don't mesh. Not even like Seth Rollins. I don't even know if their styles would mesh all that much.
Yeah.
He's got to have another big guy in order to have that monster moment. And there's
Yeah.
only so many of them. There's about 3 or 4, and he's had
Seems like
matches
they
with them
kind
all.
of gave him the run through with the big guys before he left, and then they're like, okay, he jobbed out to
And he's
Jacob
got to be a little
Fatu.
older at this point. There's no way he's like 28 years old and still
No,
have
he's
a
in
lot
his
of life.
30s. He's in his 30s.
He's got to be in his mid 30s at this
Yeah,
point.
they had him lose to Gunther, Jacob Fatu, the Bronson Reed stuff. Like they did a lot with him. And then
Those are about the 3 people he could have had a good match with. Braun Breaker maybe is another.
yeah, they never really had him go through Breaker. So I mean, they left the door open for him. Apparently, they said that in the future they might bring him back. I don't
Like
think
a
that they would
one-off
ever.
3-month
Yeah, I don't.
feud.
Yeah, I don't think they would bring him back on a full time contract again.
And his
Um,
promos, I mean, they were average, but that's about it.
Out of all the people on this list, he was probably the biggest star. He was the most surprising to me.
Yes.
Cora Jade from NXT. Um, she surprised me a little bit because she was featured on TV like every week. So like somebody that's featured on TV every week, it makes me wonder. Like obviously they had something there. They thought she had something.
I watched some of her stuff, and again, she was average, but I didn't see anything special in her that warranted, hey, she's 2 steps away or 1 step away from getting promoted to the main roster.
Yeah,
I didn't see
I
it.
think her thing was she was very injury prone. Like almost
Yeah.
every year she'd have an injury. Sometimes she'd be out for like 6 months. And that's no reason to like release somebody. But when you're a business like WWE, you have to think about that kind of stuff. You can't because
They
when
got
they're
to look to
injured,
building the future. NXT's
yeah,
about the future, right?
when they get injured, they still get paid. They still get paid their
Yeah.
base salary. They're not making like merchandise or anything, but they still get paid their base salary just to sit at home and heal. So they
Because
have
right
to
now,
think about that kind of stuff.
the way NXT is kind of set up, and this is just my opinion, right?
Hmm.
I think that they have the next evolution, so to speak, of the next generation of women wrestlers coming up to the main roster. And there are
Yes.
3 of them. And that is Roxanne Perez,
Hmm.
Julia, and Stephanie Vaquer, right?
It looks like
People
two
talk
of
about
them.
the 4
Yeah, it looks like
horsewomen.
two of them are on the
That's
main roster now.
that's the next generation that just came up within the last few weeks. Now they have to dig deep back into NXT, and it's going to take them another 2 or 3 years to rebuild another generation of that. They need to keep doing that every 3 years, or else they're going to run into stale talent.
They got some people, and then with the LFG stuff, they have like something that's before NXT now. They have the
Yes.
WWE Evolve. So
Evolve,
that's like
yeah.
before NXT, and then they come in. So NXT is actually like the second step now before the.
Well,
first
they have
step.
all those pieces, but this is not that dissimilar from like baseball and football, right? What percentage of the college athletes, and in baseball you have your prospects in double A and triple A, what percentage of them get molded enough that you promote them to the big leagues?
Yeah.
Right? You got to have a lot because your success rate is maybe what, 10%, 15% of lasting star power, right? So that's why they got to build these sub brands of LFG and Evolve, because it starts at a dartboard. You got to just keep finding every talent you can find, because you might get a diamond in the rough, or
Yep.
maybe you get somebody that can be molded and eventually become the next big thing.
Yeah. So the rest of this list here, the two other people that I was surprised about getting a release, Dakota Kai and Shayna Baszler. Shayna Baszler in particular, I personally never really felt connected to her as a character, as an on-air character. She's been on the main roster for a good 5 years now, maybe a little more than that. Obviously she has the MMA background. She was one of those Ronda Rousey hires, it felt like to me anyway. But she just never connected with the audience. Like, she was just always, oh, I know MMA, so I should win
So
every
I'm
match.
not surprised. I have the opposite concern, right? Because they let go Sonya Deville, right, the other month,
Mm-hmm.
right? She
That
was
whole group
to
was
me,
just screwed at that point.
yes, she was the face of that group, and so
Mm.
I have the opposite problem. Where's Zoe Stark? Because I'm surprised she's not on that list, or maybe that's coming.
Zoe
Maybe they're
Stark,
doing a
yeah,
second wave.
Zoe's still a little young, so maybe they see some talent in her still. Maybe they see a
Because they did the
future.
Trish thing. They did the
Yeah.
Trish thing.
They've tried multiple
and
different things with her.
And the Trish thing didn't really put Zoe Stark over, really. It put Trish over again.
Yeah.
She already is over. She didn't need that rub. Zoe
Yeah.
Stark needed it, and the audience really just didn't buy into it all that much.
Yeah, it wasn't. I don't really know what maybe they're giving her another year, see where things go, or maybe another
no it
6
factor.
months. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's like, see what happens.
And I don't see her in NXT, so that's the weird thing, is if they don't have creative plans for her, why not put her in NXT?
Like
Throw in
Shayna,
something just to see what she's got.
I just didn't see them marketing Shayna in any way to make the company any money. Dakota Kai, though, I did. Like, I thought that she was she was a contender for the Women's Intercontinental Championship. I thought
Yes.
that she had really good matches
Yes.
in that tournament, and like trying to win the title. I know that she did get injured often. It seemed anyway. She got concussions. She was always. Zoe also has that killer drop kick. Zoe Starks and that killer drop kick. I'm trying to think here. To be honest, it's hard for
she
me
has
to...
wresling talent,
Yes.
but I'll be honest, so does everybody else. Here's the thing: wrestling talent is basically the bare minimum to get in that WWE, right? You got to have a character, you got to have star power.
Yeah. It's
Those two
very,
things
very
you just not
rarely
have
can
yet.
you just slide into WWE with just wrestling ability. Somebody
Yeah.
like Kurt Angle, he had the wrestling ability, but he also had to have a character.
Right.
I'm trying to think of people that, like, Daniel Bryan for the longest time was pretty stale with a character. Then eventually he got it, and guess what? He was pushed to like the main event.
Yeah.
You can, like, wrestling ability does help you. It will get the fans behind you, but you have to have the entertainment aspect also. If you're
Yes.
just going to have wrestling ability, AEW might be the place for you to go.
Or
And-
you need a mouthpiece. You know, Brock
Yeah.
Lesnar didn't have the entertainment, but he had Paul Heyman to be the entertainment.
Yeah.
So Zoe Stark, I think they tried that with Trish,
Yeah.
and then it just wasn't enough, right?
Trish,
That was a
Trish,
short-term
like,
program.
she's never going to be like a full-time thing
Yeah,
again.
you would've needed a
she'll come in
full-time
for
mouthpiece.
yeah, she'll come in when it fits for her schedule. Zoe might need somebody there. Like, that was what was good with Sonya Deville.
Sonya,
Like,
yeah.
Sonya could wrestle sometimes, but she kind of had some roots as an on-air character. She was like the GM for a while.
Yeah.
She, you know, Zoe Starks, I'd almost say, might be better if she stepped back in NXT for a little bit. Kind of.
I haven't seen her on NXT, so I don't know if they're
Yeah.
planning on that or it's too crowded on NXT. So
That might be something where they're just going to re-debut her now that Shayna's gone. Now that
they could. Re-debuts tend to not be very successful. Very
sometimes
small success
they
rate.
can work. Sometimes they can't. It all
You know,
depends.
Giovanni.
Yeah,
All
yeah.
the vignettes for that, and then
Yeah, I don't know if it's something they'd need a vignette for. Just have her go away for a little bit, get herself
Yeah.
together, and then have her come out and have a surprise interference or something.
Yeah.
We'll see. Dakota Kai, I'm just really surprised about, and I wouldn't be surprised if she comes back at some point. Maybe she might have to take the Zack Ryder route and go onto the Indies and kind of prove herself there, and then come back. Hopefully, she's smart enough not to go to AEW, because we all know what will happen if that she goes there. They'll have her come in, probably debut on a pay-per-view, work with her for a month or so, and then she'll just sit on the bench.
After 3 months,
she's not going to be on TV.
Then...
Maybe she'll be on Collision at like the middle of the card.
Because AEW's roster is too crowded.
Yeah,
their main roster is too crowded.
And if you're not the flavor of the month, Tony Khan, his mind has nothing for you, and like he's the only booker in that place. But yeah, those are the ones that surprised me. Also, Katana Chance and Kaden Carter, they're former women's tag team champions. But
they were on the main roster for a bit, and then they went nowhere.
It kind of tells you what WWE views the women's tag team champions as. Like, it's like, well, who cares? But yeah, that's unfortunate for them. I thought that they both had talent. I believe one of them is actually dating Damian Priest, so thoughts are with him now that he lost his partner in crime on the road there. But yeah, a lot of these other guys I'm not too familiar with. It's always unfortunate when people kind of lose their get released from WWE, but a lot of times people bounce back. Very rarely do you see somebody just kind of step away from wrestling altogether. They're able to get bookings,
especially if they're younger in their career. Yeah. They have a chance to reinvent themselves.
I'd say a good percentage of these people we might see back in WWE someday. Braun Strowman in particular, Cora Jade, Dakota Kai, Shayna maybe, Shotzi maybe. I think we'll see them around at some point or another. So it's not a goodbye. Maybe it's just a see you later.
I was just hoping for Candice LeRae on that list. I was like, she adds no value.
Let's get into Backlash. So Backlash was last night. I watched the whole show. I thought it was, I'll be honest with you, I thought it was a solid show. There were a couple matches
for a B-list, C-list pay-per-view.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree.
It wasn't better than WrestleMania, but I would say the main event was better than the WrestleMania main event. I'll say that. I thought that match was better than John Cena 100%. Versus Cody. That's odd.
Well, for one main reason, no Travis Scott.
Well, we'll get into that because I think Travis Scott was there. No.
Okay.
All right. I'll get into it right. I think, my opinion, I might be wrong. I think they threw R-Truth in there because they couldn't book Travis Scott, and they were like, "All right, we got to throw somebody in there, cause a disturbance. Let's throw in R-Truth."
I don't know about that because they were like kind of taunting it for a few weeks. R-Truth would be in like a backstage segment, not realizing that John Cena turned heel, right? And John Cena's still his hero. And it's so funny because what R-Truth is like a few years older than John Cena, right?
Yeah, that's the whole joke of the whole
that's
thing.
Funny, yeah. So I like the way they did R-Truth. Just a little bit of humor, but not too much that it made it take away from.
Well, now it looks like they might be doing a full-blown match. Now, I don't think this is going to be a match on a pay-per-view. I think I think R-Truth and Cena might be a match at Saturday night's main event. That's
like
what
a quick squash.
Yeah,
with maybe interference.
I don't know. I don't know if it'll be a quick squash. I think they'll let R-Truth get some offense. WWE's a little different now. Because
we're gonna be as much offense as Pat McAfee had.
Well, that's what I'm saying. We're gonna talk about that Pat McAfee and Gunther match, and I thought some of that was ridiculous.
I'm triggered a little bit by that match.
All right, let's get into the start here. Hold on, we got some messages. Okay, Edward on YouTube says, "Okay, you're back. Let's get ready to rumble. Have a great show." You know who Edward is. All right.
Yeah.
Let's get to the Backlash results here. We're going to split this up into two little sections. So the show started out with the Fatal 4-Way United States title match. Jacob Fatu versus Drew McIntyre, Damian Priest, and L.A. Knight. I thought this was a good opener. kind of over the Drew McIntyre Damian Priest stuff. I think I was over that before it even started.
Well, it's going to keep happening because
Oh
as
my
they showed
god.
during the match, Damian Priest pulled the ref out, costing Drew the win. And it sounds like that's the seeds to
Oh
continue that
god.
little story.
I'm about to pull a plastic bag out and put it over my head while these matches are happening.
Now there's a little bit of dirt sheet on whether or not Drew McIntyre's actually injured.
Mm-hmm.
There was a big rough spot where they did Damian Priest does the choke slam. He calls it South of Heaven.
Yeah.
On through, a stunt table, right, with a ton of padding, supposedly.
Yeah.
But I guess what was supposed to happen that was Drew's head was supposed to be more on the table because there was padding underneath.
Mm-hmm. Did he miss
I
it
don't know how much of that's, like, justified, right? Because I don't have the clip, but if you watch it again, frame by frame, you'll see that around the tables there seems to be some kind of additional padding on the floor, and it wasn't just concrete. Which is smart.
I have to rewatch that. I know what move you're talking about. And I thought that they did the whole thing where, they let Damian Priest get the advantage for once. Yeah. I didn't see the botch.
But I think that there was additional padding on the floor, right? Because I bet you they knew, like, what if he doesn't go through the table exactly in the right spot? You need a little bit of leeway in case of an accident. So I'm thinking that maybe that's a little bit of BS. That maybe
I haven't heard anything on the internet about it. I would assume if it was a serious injury,
I read something.
They would be talking all about it.
I think it was just kayfabe stuff. Like maybe he's going to be written off of TV for a week or two or something.
He could be.
To give him a break.
Yeah. Overall, I thought the match was okay. Well, actually, more than okay. I thought it was good. I usually kind of get a little drawn back on the multi-people match. This one kind of held itself together. They had some choreographed moments, but the thing is, everyone was going at a good pace, and you couldn't tell. Unfortunately, for some other matches on this card, they weren't going at a good pace, and you could tell they were trying to do a little more than they were able to do. Match was really, really good. Jacob Fatu, once again, showcased really well. He got a lot of his shit in there. LA Knight, I think, was maybe the bad apple in the situation, but he even held himself up pretty good. Like, he just kind of... When you look at that match, you see what kind of doesn't fit in, and I would say LA Knight kind of was wedged in there a little bit, but he was a former United States champion before Jacob Fatu beat him, so it made sense for him to be in the match. Just, I don't think he was quite at the wrestling abilities that the other three guys were at.
What did you think of the little surprise at the end?
Yeah, Jeff Cobb, I'm not too familiar with him. I saw some of his AEW stuff. It's a little funny to me that they're going to try to work him in as part of the bloodline when I don't know if he even is Samoan descent or anything.
He's born in Hawaii, so I don't know how.
Yeah, so I mean, I guess they could. We'll have to see how they try to fit him in. I think it's interesting. He's built like a freaking brick house, so we'll see. Another interesting guy that you want to see, like somebody like Gunther or Bronson Reed have matches with.
I see the trend with WWE, so I think that they've learned their lessons of getting really tall guys like Braun Strowman. Now they're going after like the Bronson Reed stockier type.
Yeah,
Braun
people
Breaker
that are
stockier, Jeff Cobb
able to be a little more agile than somebody
but not
like
too,
the Great Khali
like Seth Rollins or Daniel Bryan.
Yeah,
right?
so if Triple H is into the hiring process, he's looking for big guys that can be agile.
Agile, yes.
Whereas Vince McMahon would look for big guys that were attractive.
Like a circus act. Yeah.
So, like the Great Khali, he couldn't wrestle for shit, but Vince liked the idea of this big, tall, intimidating guy, and he could just work around that as, like he thought. He had some good decisions, like somebody like the Big Show. I wish he would have got Big Show a little earlier in his career when he was really agile, like doing drop kicks off the top rope. And stuff.
I would say Big Show's agility kind of peaked very quickly and went off a cliff.
Yeah, but he was still he was still, even at the end of his run, he was moving around a little better than some of the
Great
big
Khali,
guys.
yeah.
So like Big Show, he got a career in the WWE.
True.
Like he there isn't much he could put. I'm surprised he isn't in the Hall of Fame yet. To be honest with you, because they put Mark Henry in there. I think Big Show deserves to be in the Hall of Fame very soon. Maybe they're waiting for his contract to run out with
AEW.
AEW or
Yeah.
whatever. But yeah. Moving on from the Fatal 4-Way, Jacob Fatu got the win there. Damian Priest, Drew McIntyre kind of took each other out, which I figured what was going to happen. And then looked like LA Knight was getting a little bit of an advantage, but then good old Jeff Cobb, with the help of Solo, came out. It looks like there's some little bit of a distraction with Solo and Jacob Fatu. Jacob Fatu did not look pleased to see Jeff Cobb there. He looked more confused than anything. So there's something to look into there. I think eventually we're going to have Jacob Fatu kind of moving away from the bloodline and maybe going into a feud with Solo and maybe even Jeff Cobb at this point.
My only nitpick with that, and,
Mm-hmm.
and it's I'll touch on this a little later when we talk about the Judgment Day. I know they're all for long-term storytelling, but
Yep.
like they've been teasing Jacob Fatu separating from the bloodline for months now,
Yeah.
and it's gonna get pretty stale if they don't pull the trigger.
They got to pull the
In my
trigger. Like,
opinion.
who knows how long they're going to let that drag. They might try to drag it out till next year's WrestleMania. You never know.
I think the challenge is that if Jacob Fatu separates himself, which he should, he's the bigger star. Solo Sikoa goes back in obscurity again.
Yeah, they got to... I'm not sure how they could kind of get Solo...
Nobody's buying it. I mean,
Yeah, he's not
better,
wrestling enough right now.
He's
just
better
kinda,
than he was, but still, he just seems like an afterthought.
Yeah. All right, so moving on from the Fatal 4-Way match, we had the Women's Intercontinental Championship match between the Bird Lady, Valkyria... Was that... what's her name
Lyra
again?
Valkyria.
Lyra Valkyria and Becky Lynch. So the one thing I noticed with Becky Lynch, ever since she returned, she doesn't quite look to be in ring shape yet. She's
I
very...
agree.
Like, she needs to hit the gym a little bit. And I don't like commenting on, like, figures, especially of, like, women in wrestling. But she just doesn't look...
No, I think she's
in-ring
in the gym.
shape
She needs to practice in the ring.
Yeah, so
That's
this was
what's
the one
missing.
match that I had noticed
She looks
that
fit.
they started to move in slow motion because it seemed like maybe they were a little lost.
Are they practicing and sparring in the ring?
I'm not
prior, or
sure.
is
Like,
Becky,
it's...
is Becky Lynch doing the Roman treatment or the Rock treatment where she's like, "Oh, I'll wing it on the day of the match," because she's part time.
Yeah.
You know.
This match wasn't bad. This wasn't like Trish. This wasn't Tiffany Stratton, Charlotte
No,
Flair
it wasn't
level.
that bad. I would
It
agree,
didn't look
yeah.
like either of them were trying to like sandbag each other, but it did look like they were a little lost. And then they started moving in slow motion with some of the stuff, and it started to look ridiculous at the end when they kept on doing the false finishes, when they were moving in slow motion and then acting like they're kicking out of things and acting
Yeah.
shocked and everything. It's like, listen, like. Some of the stuff at the beginning was good, though. They did some reversals into submission holds. It looked like they were really working it well. I think maybe they just got gassed, or the one person I'd have to kind of put some blame on would be Becky Lynch. Like, maybe she just wasn't ring ready for a match like that yet. But they, towards the end of the match, they slowed it down. I think they gave the match a little too much time. And it went on for a good, like, almost like 25 minutes, I'd say. And then the end result, Valkyria ended up retaining the title, which I thought we were going to get a title change there. I thought that was the one title that was going to change hands. It would have made sense with Becky Lynch's new role as a heel for her to kind of snake her way and win that title. But she didn't. But then Becky Lynch does like this beatdown afterwards, which kind of made me think, like, why even turn her heel before this then? Like,
Yeah,
they should have
I
kept
thought
her
the
baby
timing was
face.
suspect.
They could have had them lose the tag titles on a coincidence and have Becky Lynch be, like, apologetic or whatever. Somehow Becky Lynch gets an Intercontinental title match. They agreed to, like, a gentleman's match, like, just friends having a spar. And then after the match, Becky Lynch could have turned on her, beat the crap out of her, and just went full-on heel. But they had her turn heel before that. Then she did that, the aftermath after the match. It didn't make sense to me at why she would do that. Well, it makes sense, but it, like, storyline-wise, it's like, okay, so where are they
So
going
here's my
now?
take. The whole thing seems rushed from the beginning.
Yeah.
And my suspicion is that Becky Lynch has only got a limited time frame to do this story, and they're trying to frame it in a 3-month window, 4-month window, whatever it is.
Yeah.
And they got to quickly do it. They can't let it kind of simmer, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't think she's back full time. I don't get the sense that she's back for the next 2,
She's
3, 4
definitely
years.
not wrestling full time. I think
No,
a lot
but
of times
even
we're going to
on-
see
on
her on
presence.
Raw. She's going to just show up and cut a promo or something.
Maybe I just get the feeling she's back for like maybe 4 months, and then see you again, and maybe she's back a year from
Yeah,
now, right?
like I don't
Part-time
like if that's
schedule.
really how it is. Like I don't really know how much WWE should be investing in her then. Like if she's back full time, then I get it. But if she's just coming in for like a swim in the
quickie.
lake, yeah, like
Yeah.
I don't know how much they really need to invest in her. They have so much female talent right now. Like she just kind of they're like wedging her on the roster when there's other
Yeah.
people that could be taking that spot. And
Because
I
the
don't
whole
even
thing
think
with
they
Bailey,
need her.
and I know you're not big on Bailey,
The-
but like
Whatever.
that came out of nowhere. Like I felt like they just found a way to be like, oh, Becky Lynch needs to be on TV. Who's gonna take it on the chin? Bailey,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, she's got a big
I don't
chin to
think
take it on. She's got
No,
a
but
chin,
I don't
chin,
think
chin.
that was planned for 2 months. I don't think that was like, okay, the
So
long-term plan is...
here's the thing with Bailey. She's a veteran on the roster, so of course, like if they need her for something, they got her. But here's the thing with Bailey. I think she has one foot out the door, and WWE
I do
knows that.
think
I
that.
think
Yes.
they offered her a contract extension. She turned it down, so that's indication she's going to be leaving. Probably going to AEW to go smack Mercedes Moné's ass. So WWE's like they're not like AEW where they're like going to hold her hostage. But why, like, if they're going to showcase her, they're going
Invest
to
a
have
lot
it,
of time in
they're
her,
going to have
yeah,
it being
yeah.
like a losing effort. And why put her on the WrestleMania card when they don't have to? Like, if
In all honesty-
if she's not committed to the company, why give her that payday? Like, why put her on the card?
In all honesty, Bailey's kind of reached her pinnacle in WWE.
Yeah.
She has done everything.
I mean, I'm sure her opinion's otherwise, but there's not much else they can do with her. They've had
she's
her win the
been
Royal
heel,
Rumble.
she's been
Yeah.
face, Royal Rumble, WrestleMania moments, women's tag team
She's
champion.
won everything.
She's done it all
Yeah.
prior to the inclusion of these 2 other women's titles.
The only
that
thing
just
she
won.
hasn't done is main evented a WrestleMania, but
Right.
not everybody's going to be able to do like we can't have Disney World at WWE.
Right.
Not everyone's going to be able to do it.
But besides that, she has done everything.
Yeah. She's kind of in that Natalia role.
Yes.
But yeah. Next match up was the Intercontinental Championship match. Dominic Mysterio versus Penta. And Dominic had the Brady Bunch with him. He had Carlito, Finn, and who else? I thought there was somebody else that came out. Maybe it was just Carlito and Finn. No,
JD.
Mick Funko
Mick
Pop.
Funko
Yeah,
Pop.
Mick Funko Pop, the new baby face of the Judgment Day, apparently. Mick Funko Pop had a match on Raw, and the announcers were kind of putting him over like he was a baby face. They're like, oh, he's back after however many months after having a head injury, blah, 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 blah. He's a great wrestler. We just don't like the group that he hangs around with. So I'm not sure what they're trying to do with Mick Funko Pop. I am not sold on him yet. He hasn't done anything really special to me to make me
agree, yeah.
pay attention to him. Yes, he had that bump and he came back rather quickly. Good for him. Kudos for that. Yeah, that's not gonna like make me really be interested in him.
No, when's the last time he's cut a promo, done something entertaining?
Yeah. I mean, he's not the
He's
weakest
decent
link in
in
the
the ring.
Judgment Day. Like Carlito,
No,
I think
Carlito's the
weakest.
weakest link.
Mhm.
But JD's wrestling ability, it's maybe slightly above average, but that's about it.
He's young too, so maybe they just
Yeah.
see that he's young and he's maybe at a level that surpasses where they would expect him to be for his age. Maybe that's what they see. Dominic did end up winning this match with Penta. Mr. Chunk, you're gonna have to remind me. I forget how this match ended. I know that there was some interference.
A little bit of shenanigans from
Yeah.
our favorite person,
Yeah.
El Grande Americano.
Oh, yes. Mr. El Grande Americano. He still has not been unmasked. I still don't think that's Chad Gable.
I don't
I
think
think
so either.
they're leaning
Maybe-
all the signs to say it's Chad
Maybe
Gable.
it's
Oh god. I think that it might not be Chad Gable at the end of the day. I think they're teasing it, but I don't think it's him. I think
So I have a suspicion. I think it's sometimes him.
yeah. I think
I
like
think that
right
they
now,
have
yes.
it be him now and then to make it extremely obvious, and then it's somebody else. And when they want to do the reveal, they're going to have it where that it's not. It's both of them in the same place at the same time.
Yeah,
And then
I think
Chad
the
Gibbs will be
reveal
like, "I
it's
told you
going to
so."
be. I don't know who it could be though. Maybe one of the Creed brothers, the smaller one.
Yeah, do they look like his size?
I don't
Maybe,
know. Like I'm trying to think of anybody that would look similar to his size. It's hard.
yeah.
Well, if they had it be like Kurt Angle himself, that'd be funny. Yeah. So El Grande, he kind of interfered and gave Dominic the win. And that's specifically not the Americano isn't joining the Judgment Day. I think it's just specific. He does not like luchadors.
Penta. Yeah.
So he's going against that. Interesting ending. I did not predict or want Dominic to lose that match. I think there's still some gas on him having the title there.
Yes.
I
He's
think,
improving week by week.
yeah.
Look, I love Penta, but it's still a little early for him to be winning gold.
Yeah, not an Intercontinental title yet.
More
I think
months.
eventually,
End
yeah,
of the year,
eventually he
maybe?
could get in there, win the IC title. But yeah, you're right. It's not the time for him. He's if he just stays on his path, I think he's going to do very well. He doesn't need a title right away. He's getting a lot of wins. He's getting a lot of featured matches on Raw. He's getting featured matches on pay-per-view. That's all you could ask for a wrestler of his caliber.
Yeah.
Honestly. So let's go back into a little bit more wrestling news. And Mr. Chunk, I think you have something that you want to share with us. But first, let's talk about this guy from AEW, Speedball Mike Bailey. I think we need to talk about this a little bit. He had an interesting...
Not I Show Speed, right?
No, I Show Speed. This guy had an interesting interview. Hold on, I got to start it for a second, but then I'm going to pause it real quick. Okay. So this Speedball Mike Bailey, he had an interview recently with, I think it was done by AEW. It's done by one of their little goons in AEW here. And he just had something interesting to say. And I guess my main thing with this is, what the fuck does this have to do about wrestling? And why are they talking about this? The best thing I could do right now is just to let you guys hear this interview. Okay, let me get that full screen and let's play it here. And we'll have our opinions afterwards. Let's just play it in its entirety here.
You are openly non-binary.
Yes.
More shades of gray. And your preferred pronouns are he, him, and they, them.
Yes.
Don't you think you're hogging the pronouns a little?
No, in fact, I want everyone to be able to share and use all pronouns.
Sure.
I understand that I look like a dude, I present as a dude, that's fine. If you want to call me T, I don't mind. I want everyone to use they, them pronouns for everyone until they know their preferred pronouns. That is how I would like it to be.
I just think, you can't have them all. These people who are they, them, and just they, them, and I feel like you're encroaching on their turf. Because if you're a he, him, and a they, them, I'm going to default to he, him.
That's fine. Fair. Again, whatever
This
you
is
want.
about they, them, not he, him.
If you see me as more feminine and you want to go she, I won't have a problem with that either.
But you didn't list that.
I didn't list that.
You can't have them all. You got to pick. I think it's unfair to the they, thems. And quite frankly, I don't prefer your pronouns.
Fair? Fair.
Okay.
Dude, this almost looks staged.
It does.
The little paper rattle at the that interviewer looks like he was intentionally trying to needle him a little bit.
So okay, the interviewer.
The whole thing looks a little suspect.
The interviewer himself was obviously trying to kind of have it be a gag, a little bit. Maybe there was some
that
truth.
Interviewer from AEW?
Yes,
as well?
they're all both from AEW. I think the interviewer was trying to push some buttons a little bit. Maybe it was in a joke, but he also might have been a little serious about some of it. So here's my thing with this. So this Speedball Mike Bailey, what a name. So he's rather new to the roster. I'm not too familiar with this guy. I know that some of these woke dirt sheets on the internet This is their golden boy. They're like, this is the future of wrestling. He looks like a Timu Karate Kid to me. And in the ring, it's just, he's like Ralph Macchio if he fucking like had a dildo up his ass. What does this stuff have to do about wrestling? Like, I understand like there's fans that want to be on a personal level with wrestlers. Do we really need to know a wrestler's pronouns? I understand like maybe he's trying to strike a chord with a certain audience. He's trying to be like Mr. Pronouns, Captain Pronouns. He wants to make everybody happy that is very into pronouns and not knowing their genders and everything. To each their own, in my opinion. Like, I don't have, as long as people are happy, I don't care. But I don't like it when people force that kind of stuff, especially in the wrestling landscape.
And it's pro, like, you know, identity, if you want to call it that, as WWE is, right? They are open to all identities, pronouns, whatever. But they don't make a shtick out of it like AEW
No,
is
and
doing.
I guess that's my biggest problem, is not just with the Speedball Mike Bailey guy, but the interviewer. They were kind of trying to make it into a joke when people do take that serious.
Yeah, because we're not trying to shit on that.
It's like the people take that very serious.
Different people. Like, we're all for that. WWE promotes that all the time, but they don't make a caricature out of it like this guy does.
Yeah. And then with the Speedball Mike Bailey, I don't think him mentioning that was helping anything. It's confused people more than anything. Just the way
and the interviewer just toppled on it. Like,
yeah, toppled on it, and like he didn't give any definitive answer. He started with, "I appear as a guy. You can call me a guy," and then he's like, "But I want the everyone to be recognizing as all pronouns." And then at the end of it, he said that if I appear as a woman, call me a woman. So it confuses people more than anything. Like, if you're not qualified to speak about something like that, if you don't know what gender you are, apparently, again, what does this have to do with wrestling? But if you're not even sure of what you want to call yourself, I wouldn't even touch the subject, because you're just confusing people. You're probably gaining more negative attention to yourself than, because that's how I even heard about it, because people were kind of negatively talking about it on the internet. It doesn't come across as good when you kind of bring something up like that. You're trying to get this woke audience. You're trying to get the woke audience.
Even he was trying to
you.
do that. There's a way to go about it and be an ambassador for that type of thinking. The whole thing was confusing.
Yeah, he could have just been like, "Oh, I support LGBTQ,"
and that's all good.
And just been like, and that could have been
no
it.
issue with it.
Yeah,
it's all great. WWE does that all the time. They have ambassadors for, you know, all these different causes and all these different types of beliefs and everything. They're open to it all because they don't want to shy away any audience, right? Of any race, creed, religion, gender, whatever it might be, right? This guy was just confusing.
I honestly, what I think was happening, he was trying to hold the flag up for a certain side of the audience, but then he just ended up confusing everybody and basically admitting that he's confused himself. He doesn't know what he considers himself. So how can you wave a flag for that particular side of the audience when you're like, "Oh, call me whatever. I'm just, you know, I'm just a mass taking up space in the world. I'm not a human, whatever. Call me whatever you want." It's just confusing. I understand, like, they're trying to wave the woke flag and whatever.
I have no issue with that, but I don't think that was a good job of doing that.
Yeah. And it goes back to the Ricochet Javon Evans thing. People want to throw their hands up to say that Javon Evans needs social media training. What the fuck was that? That person needs social media training. You need to learn how to do an interview. Don't talk about things that you're not sure of about yourself. You know, there's so many things you could bring up, especially when it's a wrestling related interview. If you're not sure about what you identify as, talk about wrestling. Don't talk about that. Like, let's leave that off the table then.
if you're trying to paint a certain picture and really appeal to an audience and really make it about the social topic of identity, take a look at WWE. They have key ambassadors that are well versed in these areas. You see Big E being an ambassador. You see Titus O'Neil being an ambassador.
Yep.
Say what you will about Sasha Banks. For a while, she was an ambassador of all that. Take a page out of WWE's book. They know how to do this kind of stuff.
Yeah. So Speedball Mike Bailey, maybe you need some social media training. And I hope you figure out what gender identity you are someday, because you seem kind of confused, and I hope you get that all figured out. Mr. Chonk, you got some stuff you want to show us, right? You got some stuff you want to show us.
I got my Yeet Flakes.
Okay, we are going to switch this over to Mr. Chonk's toy chest so he can have his special little segment.
Well, it's a mini. It's a special mini.
Yeah. It's not going to be a long one, but here we go.
Quick fire.
He's got some Yeet Flakes here.
Yes, special edition came out. What was it, like 3 weeks ago? Something.
Yeah,
like
a little
that.
bit before WrestleMania.
And you gave me a suggestion. She's like, better hop on this because we don't know how limited edition they are.
I don't know if they're even for sale anymore. They might be already.
I have no
out.
idea. I've spent more money on dumber shit.
Oh.
So this came as a 2-pack.
Oh, so you got 2 of them. Okay.
So this is an unopened box I will not be eating.
Oh God. So I take it you
box.
did eat the other ones.
I ate the other box.
Oh,
The other box. Yeah. Let's just say there was a little bit of green at the end. There's green at the end of that rainbow. Yeah.
Okay.
I've had this happen before. A lot of the food colorings and dyes and
Did
stuff.
Did you see a doctor afterwards? Green shit, huh? Okay.
Yeah. I've had this happen eating other cereals that add like a lot of processed ingredients, and then you flush it out of your system, and then you're fine.
Can you flush it out and flush the toilet?
My advice is, whoever's gonna buy this, don't eat it. Just save it. Just don't eat it.
Okay, so other than how it came out the other end, what did it taste like? Was it just Frosted Flakes?
Yeah, I would say it felt like dollar store Frosted Flakes. Like, not quite the same taste.
So they didn't put any effort into the actual food. They just wanted to slap his face on it,
the taste that
gave you some
different.
generic Frosted Flakes, and called it a day. Would you
Yeah.
say the Bootios were better?
So I never actually ate the Bootios.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about that. Okay.
So the Bootios was only 1 pack, so I couldn't really... I would have had to buy 2 at the time. It's still on my shelf, uneaten.
I wonder why they sold it as 2 packs. That's weird. Maybe they just over-ordered them, and they're like, oh, we're going to do 2 for 1. 2 for 1 or something.
Yeah. And one little quick tidbit here, because I needed to get free shipping on the Yeet, because the Yeet Flakes would have been like $10 shipping.
Oh,
so I had to get something else to qualify for free shipping. So I know this. So a little Stone Cold Brawling Buddy.
Oh God, he got a pillow pet of Stone Cold. Oh Jesus
It doesn't even look that
Christ,
accurate. It looks like Tommaso Ciampa a little bit.
dude! What are you gonna do with that? Is that gonna be in your bedroom?
I use it as a pillow. You know what? If I need a little extra help, yeah, you never know.
What? All right, dude. I'm gonna have to do some checkups on that and make sure there isn't like a hole in his chest or anything. Make sure nothing weird's going on. Oh, so is that all you had for the toy chest today?
Yes.
Jesus Christ. All right, that was the shortest toy chest that we've ever had. He got a pillow pet and some cereal. We'll have a longer one next month, but yeah, that's Mr. Chong's toy chest for this month. The pillow pet, some frosted Yeets. He's going to keep the unopened box to go along with his Bootios. If Joe Hendry made like an action figure or something, would you get it? As long as he has that like stupid smile and everything.
If there was something unique about it, I would get it. Not the basic action figures they've been releasing so far. They have to have something like unique.
I wonder what they could do with Joe Hendry. There's something tells me like his character, they got to do some unique, like some sort of unique merch for him. Even if it's just like a mask that has his like little smile face that you can like turn around with it. That'd be kind of funny. That'd be a good Halloween costume, actually.
Yes.
All right, let's get back into the Backlash results here. All right, so here's a controversial match. Gunther versus Pat McAfee.
Oh, I'm re-triggered. I'm re-triggered immediately.
Yeah, so my whole thing is here. First off, we thought that this match was going to be the introduction to Goldberg. We thought that Goldberg... we know that Goldberg is going to have a match this week. I mean, this year. Not this week. Goddamn, not this week.
Yeah.
This year, he's having a retirement match this year.
Almost a squash, and that maybe they would have given Pat McAfee one or two moves.
Yeah. Right? I thought it was going to be like he gets his ass kicked, maybe gets a low blow, lands a couple things, ends up getting choked out. He did end up getting choked out.
I'll tell you one positive thing in the match. One positive, because I have a lot of negative.
What's that?
He looked pretty good shape, right?
Who?
So my negative, Pat McAfee.
Okay.
My negative has nothing to do with Pat McAfee himself. Mm-hmm. It's not his fault the way it was booked, but he's in great shape for his age. Mm-hmm. He went somewhat toe to toe with Gunther, somewhat. You know, that's the only positive. The rest of it, dumb. And I blame WWE, and I don't know why. They wrote it in a way that made it look like Pat McAfee could have a chance.
Yeah, like, I don't know what their deal is with Gunther.
And for that,
like, why are they making him look weak?
Exactly.
I don't understand
and for that to have happened, like, here's the thing. I know Pat McAfee was a place kicker and all this other stuff in football, right? Does not mean I automatically take him seriously in the ring.
Yeah.
So for me to have believed that Pat McAfee had a chance to win, that means Gunther has to look like Pat McAfee's a challenge.
Yeah, like, if they wanted Pat McAfee to get...
completely weird.
Yeah, so much offense, they shouldn't have had him face Gunther. It would have made more sense to have him face, like, Jey Uso then. I think it would have made more sense for him to... I knew that he would get some offense, but I thought it was going to be like a low blow thing, and it was just
there's a difference between some offense, and it was like a 15-minute
yeah.
match where he actually had...
And I hated that... on the pay-per-view in general, I hated the spot that almost every match did, where the two opponents, or however many opponents, met in the middle of the ring and traded punches back and forth. That's like AEW shit. They did it in the Gunther match. They did it in the Women's Intercontinental title match. I believe they even did it in the Intercontinental title match. They did it in the Cena Orton match. Going in the center of the ring...
It's okay. That's fine. Yeah. Main event worthy matches, that's where you expect it to happen. Yeah. Not in a Gunther-Pat McAfee match.
Yeah, Gunther-Pat McAfee, they should not have been trading blows in the middle of the ring with the fans going ooh and boo and whatever.
And then strike number 2, right? Because I'm guessing WWE scripted this into it, and it wasn't Gunther decided to go rogue and go on his own. Gunther almost gave him a nod of respect at the end.
Yeah, I didn't like that at all. When I saw it happening, I was like, okay, Gunther's going to, like, fucking clothesline
poke his ass out, and then Goldberg came out.
I thought that he was going to knock him down and then, like, do something to Cole. And then maybe Goldberg came out.
There were, like, 3 or 4 opportunities throughout the entire match. I'm like, okay, Goldberg's going to come out. All right? No. Next part, Goldberg's going to come out. Yeah. Like, there were, like, 4 opportunities for it to happen, and none of it happened. Yeah. And the match was a waste.
It didn't need to happen.
And no disrespect to Pat McAfee. I'm not trying to.
And like,
him.
is St.
He
Louis
looks fantastic?
Yeah,
it's not his fault.
St. Louis isn't even his hometown. Like, I'm trying to think of why they booked that match, and I don't know. I don't get it. I'm
poo-pooing a Triple H. I'm sorry. I don't
understand it. And maybe McAfee's contract, he has like a certain amount of matches he can have every year, but I don't know. Him and Gunther just wasn't it. Like,
and he wanted to showcase his, maybe he's been training for a year, and he wanted to showcase his in-ring ability. I don't know.
You know what would have made more sense? Pat McAfee and Dominic Mysterio.
Yes.
Because they've had Pat McAfee's been talking shit on Dom for over a year now. It would have made sense. It still had Dom win. They probably could have done it the exact same way that they did.
And I would have expected, Pat.
And he could have had offense in that.
That would have made some sense.
Yeah, that would have made much more sense than him and Gunther. And by the way, like, I thought that Logan Paul and Jey Uso was supposed to happen at Backlash. Now it's happening at Saturday night's main event. When did they change that?
But 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, like, whatever. I guess that makes sense.
Unless
Logan Paul will get
unless
ratings.
what are the odds Goldberg isn't available this year? And they thought they
I
could
mean,
get
they've
him,
already done
and
the
they got
contract.
stuck.
Yeah. I mean,
I
maybe
don't
he's
know.
not.
None of this makes
I don't know.
sense.
I don't know. I don't know how they can move into Goldberg versus Gunther now, unless I have a feeling it'll probably happen at a Saudi show, because that's what they do at the Saudi shows. They always have the big ticket and things like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like a lot of things had me puzzled. I'm glad Gunther ended up winning, because I thought for a second, are they really going to have McAfee win this damn match?
I was almost thinking they're going to have him with a cheap roll-up. You know what? I would have been okay with a cheap roll-up by Pat McAfee under one condition. Gunther beat his ass.
Yeah.
Unmercifully for 5
I thought
minutes
maybe
afterwards.
that Michael Cole would hold Gunther's feet down or something.
Well, he did.
Yeah, and that's why I
Michael
was like,
Cole did
okay,
try
maybe they'll
that.
get to win that way. Didn't quite happen.
Yeah, but that would have only worked if Gunther blew a gasket and completely
Yeah.
just ripped apart everything.
Absolutely.
And it just didn't make sense.
Yeah, the match was, I wouldn't say it was a disappointment. I still think it was a good match. Probably the worst match on the card, though, in my opinion. Not saying that's a bad match.
Yes.
I'm just saying compared to everything else, that was the
I
one that
agree.
kind of least tickled my asshole a little bit. Then we move on to John Cena and Randy Orton. This one surprised me because I had expectations with Cena after his WrestleMania match. Not saying that he was just kind of phoning it in, but I was like, okay, so this is what we're getting from Cena. Maybe he's got ring rust. Maybe he's just not quite there physically. It is what it is. We'll make the best of it. John Cena always makes the best of it. But it seemed like Cena had a better match with Randy Orton. And I'm trying to figure out why.
I agree.
Because Cody is a good wrestler in himself. And I don't know if I'd say that Cody's a better wrestler than Randy Orton or Randy Orton's better than Cody. But the difference
Maybe here's
between
one thing. Maybe here's one thing. John Cena versus Cody, that was the first time they've done it. How many matches does John Cena and Randy Orton have in the past? So maybe this is like riding a bicycle, right?
Maybe.
They know each other. They know how they work in the ring. They just had to pick up where they've left off.
Yeah, it just seemed like
and
the
it was a lot
match
easier.
itself. Take Randy Orton out of it. It just seemed like this was a better John Cena match than we saw at WrestleMania. I'm trying to wrap my head around
out of it. I think it was a better match because of John Cena. I mean, because of Randy Orton.
Maybe.
I think they work well together in the ring. It was a really good match. I'm not saying it was like the caliber of, some of the other classic matches, but it was a good match. Given
this was John Cena's best match back this year yet. Out of everything, including the Elimination Chamber Royal Rumble.
Yes.
This was Cena's best showing so far.
100%
against Randy
agree.
Orton. And now it looks like they're
100%.
moving to possibly John Cena and R-Truth, because R-Truth did have somewhat of an interference in the match.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm
as a
still under
filler
the
thing,
belief that I think they were trying to pull one over on the fans and make them think that was Travis Scott when really it was R-Truth. Because I find it hard to believe that Triple H was like, you know what? I want R-Truth to run out there. And it makes sense storyline-wise in a way, but I think if they had Travis Scott on hand, I think he would have taken that place instead of R-Truth. I really do. But I think...
Until what? Travis Scott is going to be by John Cena's side until the end of the year?
Whatever it is, they're working together somehow. I don't understand it, because The Rock kind of dipped out on everybody.
Yeah.
But whatever is going on, Travis Scott is involved. Because we saw him and Cena leave at WrestleMania together. So
yeah,
I don't understand it, and maybe we will at some point. But with R-Truth running out there, not trying to say that Triple H is racist or anything, but for some reason, I see Triple H be like, oh, they kind of look similar. Have him go out there and kind of fool the fans.
If R-Truth didn't care, and maybe he didn't, R-Truth likes to be the butt of a joke.
Yeah.
I think he's perfectly fine.
Yeah, and I sent you a video clip. Maybe I should have played it on here, but I'm afraid we just get copywritten again. But at the post-match press conference, R-Truth and Cena kind of had an interaction, and Cena said, okay, one more word, and you're not going to like what happens, and R-Truth said something again, and Cena picked him up and gave him an attitude adjustment through the table. So that's what makes me think that maybe they're going to do a John Cena R-Truth. I don't think that's going to be pay-per-view. I think that'll be a Saturday night main event.
It's to keep the train rolling with John Cena and get his appearances in and sell tickets, right?
Yeah.
Because people still wanted to pay to see John Cena even if he's doing something stupid. So
yeah. And I think, to be honest with you, obviously we know what's going to happen. Like, R-Truth isn't going to win the title.
No,
but I think
a 5-minute match.
I think that this could be an opportunity for R-Truth to have his moment. Even if it's on Saturday night's main event, we don't see R-Truth in title matches often, not heavyweight title matches.
Wait, you think it's going to be a title match?
Oh, yeah, I do. And that's why I think it's not going to be on pay-per-view. I think it's going to be on Saturday night's main event.
No, I think it's going to be Saturday night's main event. I just didn't see it as a title match.
No, I see Cena putting his title on.
No, John Cena's scheduled to appear, and then R-Truth finally figures out that John Cena pulled the wool over his eyes, and R-Truth tries to convince John Cena to be a better person.
Maybe we could see that because they still got a couple weeks before this happens, so maybe they have some time to kind of run some sort of story here. But I think that they could have this match be a title match. And I think like R-Truth could put on his, I wouldn't say swan song because I don't think he's going anywhere, but I think realistically he could see this as, okay, this is my one opportunity to be in the main spotlight. This is going to be my moment, a title match against John Cena, main event, Saturday night's main event. And I could see R-Truth putting on the best match he possibly could for his career. I could see that. We've only seen R-Truth, from my recollection, in one pay-per-view main event for the title, and that was Capital Punishment in 2011, maybe. This is what his heel turn. It was against John Cena also. So it'll be interesting to see. I'm just assuming, though, that they're going to move into a John Cena R-Truth mini feud or whatever. And then who knows what after that? Who knows where they're going to go with John Cena after that? They got so many. They have limited dates and so many match possibilities.
So you ready for this? Mm-hmm. If we have a couple of minutes, I have a bold prediction. I've thought about this a lot in the last few weeks.
All right, go for it.
And I don't think any of this is going to come true. So I should preface this with, I think my prediction's bullshit.
Okay.
But because I don't think WWE would take the risk, because it's just really weird. So part of the prediction, and this goes all the way to the end of the year, right? Mm-hmm. Part of the prediction is John Cena goes to Money in the Bank.
Yeah.
He wins Money in the Bank and throws it out and says, I'm making wrestling shit again. No one gets the Money in the Bank contract this year. Tears it up and says there's no winner. I won it. Because he's been saying that. I'm here to make things shit again, right?
Yeah.
He wins it so no one gets a shot. No one gets it at all, right? It's extreme. I don't think WWE would waste that opportunity.
Like, what would his purpose of being in the match when he already has a title? What would
to prevent somebody else from getting it?
I guess.
From somebody else cashing in.
I guess something.
Basically,
tells me,
he's the last champ. He wants no one else to have an opportunity.
Something tells me he'll be on the pay-per-view defending the title, though.
Unless he gets to dictate who faces him. He doesn't want to risk of a cash-in, right? He wants to control the net. He wants to control it.
The only way I could see that happening is if they did what they did with Brock Lesnar, and like one of the participants is injured, so they bring in like a mystery person, and he like comes out at the end and just climbs the ladder and takes it. Remember when Lesnar did that?
Yeah.
I think he took Ali's place or something, and then he just came in, F5'd a few people, and like...
Clearly an extreme prediction, and I don't think logistically it would happen. I don't think WWE would want to waste a Money in the Bank winner. They've done it once with Otis. I don't. But that was COVID, so throw that out the window. Mm-hmm. But, I don't think they would do it, but it would be interesting as fuck to basically John Cena really just dig in. Mm-hmm. But I don't think they would pull that trigger. Now, here's the other part of the extreme prediction. If you notice post-match, before the press conference, John Cena looks like he's starting to regret his decision completely.
A little bit, yeah.
The look on his face. And I don't know what The Rock's availability is the remainder of the year. No idea.
I don't think anybody does.
But if there is some chance of availability, I think that the last match of John Cena's career, and it's not for the title. John Cena would like lose the title at Survivor Series or something like that, and his last match in December needs to be against The Rock, and it needs to be. The premise of this isn't just the tiebreaker, right? They've had 2 matches, not a third. It needs to be painting the story of The Rock is meddling in WWE business, and this match is to kick The Rock out of WWE. Obviously, not for real, but they could paint a really good story with Triple H. And you've seen this on TV. Triple H doesn't seem like he loves it all the time when The Rock sticks his nose in and says, "Well, I think we should do this."
Yeah, and Triple
And
H,
then
Triple H
Triple
can't
H's
get
critics
physical,
fans.
so we can't do like Triple H and The Rock. That's never going to happen.
No, I mean I don't even know if he's allowed to do a pedigree and then leave.
No,
I
he
have
can't
no
do
idea if he
anything
can
physical.
do anything. Well, but he could somebody do it on his behalf.
Yeah, that's,
You could have John
they could do
Cena,
that.
because you think about this: The Rock's the puppet string master, the puppet master.
Yep.
And John Cena's saying, you know what? I got to do what's right. Get Rock out of WWE. Cody Rhodes is back in the mix. He also gets his one-uppance against The Rock, especially if we don't even know if they're going to have a match. That was the big thing. Fans were irritated. When are we going to see Cody Rhodes versus The Rock? We may never see.
True.
So that could be our at least.
Yeah,
You know, he
I
does his
think
couple
we'll
of
see
moves.
Cody and The Rock someday. By the way,
I don't
Edward
know.
over on YouTube says he misses the digital hat.
Yeah, I forgot to charge it. It ran out of batteries. so I forgot
we'll
to
get the
charge
hat. And maybe that'll be like a once a
it.
month.
It's not every
attraction.
week. It's not every week.
Or
Yeah.
maybe we'll start having Mr. Chunk wear that during Mr. Chunk's toy chest. He'll just have the hat on.
Could. But let me ask you your prediction. Who do you think takes the title away?
From
Because
Cena.
I'm gonna guess it's gonna be towards the end of the year.
Cody.
Survivor Series.
Cody. I think Cody.
You still
gets it
think it's
back.
Cody?
Yep. I think Cody gets
I don't
it
know.
back.
I don't think it's Cody.
It could. I mean, I could be wrong, but I think Cody will get it back.
I mean,
Cena.
Cody obviously is gonna win the title back at some point.
I just
don't
like
think
I can't wrap my head around like who else. I don't know. I really think
who
it's
else
Cody.
does John Cena have a match with
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking.
at this
like,
point?
I honestly think they're gonna do CM Punk and Cena again, but I don't see
Absolutely.
CM Punk winning the belt.
No, I do not. It's gonna be a great match. It'll be a fantastic match.
Yeah, I think they're gonna do that match before he. I think Cena will be heel at that point.
Oh, it's gonna be a reversal of 2012. They're gonna
Yeah.
paint it like John Cena's gonna threaten to leave
Honestly,
the company with
like,
the title.
Money in the Bank would be a good spot for that. If
Not
they
a lot
did,
of time
if
to
they,
build it.
if they did
Not a-
Art Truth at Saturday Night's Main Event with Cena, Money in the Bank, because it would be like kind of, even though Money in the Bank isn't in Chicago this year, it will be kind of reminiscent of.
Yeah, but it's early. It's June 7th, dude. Like,
But-
you got 4 weeks. Less than 4 weeks.
But remember, CM Punk is going to be on Raw tomorrow night. But
I mean,
you
they
know
better
what?
start-
He is
they better
kind of
start
he's kind of
tomorrow.
locked into the whole thing with Seth Rollins, and
Yeah.
so I think
don't
I
know.
have a feeling they're going to be doing Roman, CM Punk versus Rollins and Breaker. So you're right. Maybe that could be a SummerSlam. thing now.
SummerSlam, yeah.
That would be a SummerSlam main event. CM Punk and Cena. That would be,
'Cause-
or at least a co-main event or something. That's
Because
true.
with Cena being strictly as heel as he is, there's limited people I think he could work with. Because I don't think he
Yeah.
would work with a heel character.
So
It
I
would
think
mix-
him and Cody will go at it again. Hopefully redeem whatever match that was at WrestleMania. CM Punk, Cena definitely should happen. I think Cena and Rollins should happen. I would like to see Cena and
it's
Breaker, but
It's tough for Cena and Rollins, but with Rollins' position as heel, I don't know if... I don't know.
maybe he'll be babyface by
It's
then.
weird. Yeah, there's some time.
Drew McIntyre, I think, maybe deserves some sort of shot at Cena. It's there's some people that I think deserve it, but then I think they want to do a mix of matches we've seen before, matches we haven't. So
Yeah,
it's
but,
like
I
you
mean,
got to
there's
think of
limited
some of these
dates.
newer guys. Gunther,
How many
Gunther, I think
matches-
needs a match with Cena. They need to do that.
Yeah, but here's the problem. How many matches do you think John Cena is going to have outside of a premium live event or
I don't know if we're going to
Saturday
see
main
it
event?
too often on like SmackDown or Raw.
So
Saturday
you're
Night
left
Main
with,
Event,
what,
pay-per-views,
6?
Saudi shows.
6? There's only one Saudi show coming up. They've only advertised for one.
Yeah, but there'll
It's
be
in
more
July.
than one before the end of the year.
The rumor was the other one might be a women's pay-per-view for some weird reason.
Do you
out
think
there.
CENA would defend it on a women's pay-per-view? I guess. Well,
No.
maybe. You know, you want to hear
No.
something before we get out of here? Something I heard on the internet that the new outrage on the Saudi little commercial they did during the Backlash pay-per-view, people are in shambles on the internet because they showed CM Punk in the promo. They're like, "Oh, CM Punk, he spoke out against Saudi. He said he's never going to go to a Saudi show," and they showed him in the promo. So now people are like kind of shitting themselves, thinking that CM Punk's going to be on a Saudi show.
I don't know. I don't know if they just showed a random promo, if they worked out something with CM Punk
Yeah.
for him to show up.
Hey, listen, if he shows up, people like, yes, he may have spoken out about it before, but human nature is we can change our minds. We can get more educated on a subject and be like, hey, you know, when you look at it this way, whatever. You can kind of have a one-sided opinion, and then when you see things at a clear picture, your opinion might change. I understand people on the internet, you know, they don't look at things like that. They just sit in the basement on their computers and they will save screenshots for years so that they could pull them up years later and be like, oh, you said this in 2018.
Or you know what? Maybe we're overthinking the whole thing, and the answer could be simpler than we think.
Yeah. Obviously.
They
Obviously,
offered him a
money.
good amount
Yeah.
for him to just swallow his pride and say,
Yeah.
all right, regardless of my political beliefs,
From the outside looking in,
pay me
yes,
a bunch of money.
I understand. Like a lot of times, Saudi Arabia is in the press for negative things. But when you're inside a company like WWE, and they could show you, hey, here's all the positive things we've done for the Saudi Arabian government and everything. They have done a lot of positive things. There's been a lot of positive changes that have happened since WWE started their whole relationship with Saudi Arabia. The first shows are a lot different than the shows we have now. What you can see by the
absolutely.
women on the shows, the way that the shows are structured. It's totally different from the day that they started there.
Yes,
And
I 100% agree.
I could see somebody like CM Punk seeing that progression and being like, okay, maybe I could be a part of this. Maybe I could be a part of change. And, you know, maybe he has some ground rules that he wants to follow for him to be on the show. Maybe there are certain things that he
Possibly.
doesn't want to be involved in. Who knows?
Right.
Let's just see before we have a knee-jerk reaction to it. If he shows up, if he's going to do a match, and what those guidelines are that if he does the match. So that's a current outrage.
yeah.
Maybe we'll talk about it more on the next episode. We'll see. John Cena, we'll see what's going on with him. We'll see what happens on Raw and SmackDown. One thing I do want to note is Minty here, Joe Hendry. We said his name enough. He hasn't appeared yet, but we'll see. So I am starting a new job on Monday, and that might entail that I need to change our start time for the podcast. But maybe not. Maybe not. So my new job, I will be working on the weekends, and I will be getting off of work at 6 p.m. And I'm going to try to keep it so that we can still go live at 7. I just need to make sure that I'm giving myself enough time to get the
I
format
didn't know you were
done.
working the weekends.
Yes, I am. I mean, I'm not going to go into my entire schedule, but I am working Saturday and
All right.
Sundays,
We'll chat
9
offline.
a.m.
Yeah.
to 6 p.m. And so it's scaring me a little bit because it's telling me like I only have like 1 hour to get ready for a show. So we
can
might
do later.
Yeah, we might have to change it up. We'll have to talk about it and figure this out. But we might. I'm for some reason in my head I'm like, okay, maybe we could start it at 8 or something instead of 7.
Even 9. So I'm a night owl. You want to do
Mm-hmm.
9 o'clock? No problem with me.
I don't know. We'll have to look into it and think about it. But yeah, I might have to make adjustments. Listen, this coming tomorrow is my first day, and we'll see how I feel at 6 p.m. If I feel like I have enough energy after the end of a shift that I could do a podcast at 7 still, we will. I'll just have to figure out how I'm going to get the format done. Before that, I might have to start doing formats on Saturday instead of Sunday and just doing everything in one day. But we'll figure that out. the podcast is not going anywhere. I just need to take a break for a couple weeks and get some shit together in my life. But we're back. We're gonna have fun. I'm gonna start posting clips on social media again, and we're gonna keep moving on with this and keep bringing you some funny wrestling stuff and our thoughts on it as long as we can. Mr. Chong, do you have anything else to add? Mr. Chong's Toy Chest will be coming back next month in June. And yeah, there's our outro song. Hope everybody enjoyed the show. Hope everybody has a good rest of your night. And we will believe in Joe Hendry, and we'll see